Hello everyone from Curry Senior Vitality. This is Josie from Community Tech Network, and today we're going to talk about, this is part 3 of our 3-part video on storage. So in part 1, I discussed internal iPad storage. Part 2 was all about iCloud storage, and in today's lesson, we'll get into Google Drive. So first, an introduction. You may remember that iCloud is Apple's cloud storage system. Google Drive is another type of cloud storage, meaning it stores data on remote data servers, which you can then access from your devices over the internet. So the main difference between iCloud and Google Drive is iCloud is hosted by Apple, and Google Drive, naturally, is hosted by Google, and it's connected to your Google account. Google Drive is also very popular, and it makes it really easy to access your documents, share them with others, and collaborate with other people in real time. Another advantage is it's not limited to Apple devices. It works on Apple, Android, whatever kind of device you have. So to use Google Drive, you'll first need to install the app from the App Store. So a quick review, you would go into the App Store. All right, so now that I'm in the App Store, I will tap up here in the search bar and type Google Drive. So this is what it looks like, this multicolored triangle shape. You would have to tap on Get. I already have it installed, so I'll go ahead and open it. And when you first install this and open it the first time, you'll be asked to sign in to your Google account. And for that, you can use your Curry Senior Vitality email address and password. All right, so first we'll take a look at these different tabs across the bottom. First is Priority. And this Priority tab will show you recent files. So if you haven't added any files, or if you haven't had any files shared with you, you won't have anything, but you can see an example of what it looks like. So Google Drive can store photos like this. It can store videos, Word documents, Excel documents, really any sort of file can be saved in Google Drive. And to open any of these files, I can simply tap on it and take a look. Also in the top right corner, you have 3 little dots where you can tap to see different options, things you can do with it. We'll get into that in more detail later. All right, so that's Priority. We'll skip over Workspaces. That's a bit more advanced for if you're using Google Drive for work, this is maybe more useful. The Shared tab is where you can access any files that have been shared with you by other people. So I have a few different documents here that someone else shared with me. Finally, Files is the place you can see the full list of everything that you have in your Google Drive. And notice at the top too, there's My Drive, which is usually where you'll be working. A shared drive is like a shared folder that multiple people can be given access to. So you may never need to use the shared drives. And as you can see here in my Files section, I have 3 different folders. So Google Drive makes it really easy to organize your files, and I definitely recommend creating folders if you're going to be adding a lot of photos or documents. And to open a folder, I can just tap on it. And you can see I have all these different photos added. And before I showed that you could tap on a photo and tap the 3 dots for options, you can also do that on this page. So every file has these 3 little dots, which opens up that same menu. All right, next though, I want to show you how to add files to Google Drive. So I'll just go back to my regular files section. And you'll see in the bottom right corner, I have this colored plus sign. And you can see that not just in the files section, also in shared. Whenever you're in Drive, you should see this little plus sign down at the bottom. And when you tap it, it opens up several options for you. So create new folder, upload, use camera, or create one of these Google Docs, Google Sheets, or Google Slides. So let's go ahead and first create a new folder. You'll be prompted to add a name. So I'll name this, for example, travel. Create. And depending on what you're adding to Google Drive, you might want to make different categories. For example, you could make a folder of photos from 2020, a separate folder for 2021, or however it makes sense for you to organize your files. And if I go back to files, you'll see there's my new folder. And if I want to add something specifically to this folder, now that I'm in it, I'll tap the plus sign and upload. So just to clarify, remember that download is if you have something on the internet and you want to save it to your device. Upload is kind of the opposite. So if you have something saved on your iPad and you want to put it on the drive on the internet, you need to upload it. And that will give you these options. So if it's photos and videos, you would tap here. If it's any other kind of file, you would tap on Browse. But I'll try adding a couple photos. So you have different options here. Your photos and videos are sorted differently. I'll go ahead and go into Recents. Some of these photos I already have in the drive, but just as an example. So everything I tap will get a little plus sign, a little blue check mark. And once you have the files that you want selected, tap on Upload. And you'll see this little blue bar is tracking the progress. So sometimes it takes a few seconds or even a couple minutes if it's a lot of files. So now that they're added here, this one's still uploading. I'll give it a minute. What's nice is this is a great opportunity to name your photos. So they all come with these sort of generic photo names. But let's go ahead and look at renaming one. So I'll tap the three dots, find Rename, and this image 0352 is highlighted, so I can just go ahead and start typing and that will be deleted. I'll call this Plant. Rename. So it's a good chance for you to give them names to make them easier to find later on. And you'll also see this little icon here changes the view. So I still have my three files, it's just you can see it more as a list or as thumbnails. So of course, if you don't have names for them, this is an easier way for you to see what files you're looking at. But if you give them names, you can easily arrange them this way. And I could go ahead and rename these other ones too. Whoops. Rename. We'll say flowers. And I also wanted to show you quickly what it looks like if someone else shares a Google Drive file with you. So when that happens, you'll typically receive an email. Oops, not Safari. Mail. And I have an example here. So Angela shared a photo with me. So this is what that email would look like. It'll say who shared it, the name of the file, and there will be an option to open. And when you tap it, it will open that file in Google Drive. Okay, a couple other things. Let's just go back into our menu. So that was share, copy link. Let's say you're typing up an email and you want to include a link to this photo. You could do that. You could also send a copy. So let's say you have something saved in Drive, in Google Drive, and you want to share it with someone. You could then select messages or mail or however you want to send it. Okay. We looked at rename, move. So maybe I have a photo in the travel section that's really not supposed to be there. I could select my destination, my drive, and let's say I want to move it to photos. Move here. And so it's gone from travel. And if I go back into photos, it should be there. Yes. And let's just take another example with this photo. Details and activity. We'll just show you some things where it's located in Drive, the size, when it was created, and so forth. And also options to manage access. So that's where you can see who it's been shared with. So you could potentially have a whole group of people there that have access to a file. So that is uploading photos or files that you already have on your iPad. Next, I just wanted to show, if I tap the plus sign again, you can actually directly use the camera. So let's say you want to add a photo to Google Drive, but you haven't taken that photo yet. If you tap use camera, it will ask to access the camera. There's my wall. And you can directly take a photo here or a video. And if it looks good, use photo. And as you can see, it's being added directly to Google Drive. Okay, great. And then again, too, just a little bit about navigating this. So if you're inside of a folder, you'll see it up in the corner. So I'm in the travel folder, and that back arrow took me back to my files. And again, I can decide, you can choose yourself which view is easier for you to understand. So some of the other things that you can do with these items that you've added, let's just go back into here. I have this plant photo, and I'll tap the three dots. So some of these other options you might want to use may include share. Oops, try that again. Share. So here I can now add whoever I want to share it with. So this is typically done by typing in the email address. And if someone's in your contacts or you've emailed them before, their email address and name will probably pop up, and you can just tap it right away. Now, when you share something in Google Drive, there are different levels of permission you can give. So, editor. You can also change that to commenter or viewer. So it really just depends on how much access you want that person to have. And there's an option here to also add a message. So I might type, my plant is thriving. And press the little blue arrow to send it. And sometimes you'll get a message like this. Just go ahead and say share if that's the correct person. All right. The next thing I just wanted to briefly touch on, we don't have time to get in depth, but within this plus sign menu, we talked about these top 3 options, but Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides are also great options if you're trying to create a document. So Google Docs is a word processor. It's a free tool, a free Google product, and it works very much like Microsoft Word or any other word processor you may have used. So if you ever need to create something like a letter or an essay, or if you want to write a story, you could start a new Google Doc. Google Sheets is an app where you can make spreadsheets. So it works a lot like Microsoft Excel. Google Slides is where you can make presentations, so kind of a Google version of PowerPoint. So these are great options if you're used to those Microsoft tools and you want to do some spreadsheets, PowerPoints, or text documents. You can use these options. I will say though that these 3 things are actually separate apps. So if you do want to use any of them, you'll be prompted to go into the App Store and install those apps. But as I said, they're free and very useful. So now that we've gone over the basics of how to use Google Drive and how to add files, what is the point? So one big benefit is that everything you save in Drive, you can later access from any other computer just by signing into your Google account. So that's great to have a backup. Another big advantage is you can use it to free up space on your iPad internal storage. So in part 1, we talked about the limitations of the iPad storage, how if you take a lot of photos and install a lot of apps, you may eventually run out of storage or start to get low on it. So if that happens, a good option for you is to upload a bunch of your photos or whatever is taking up space to Google Drive and then delete them from your iPad. So I showed earlier, I uploaded this photo. So let me just show you now. Now that I've done that and it's saved in Google Drive, I can go into Photos and there it is. I can safely delete this. So I have it selected, tap the trash can, and it says it'll be deleted from iCloud Photos on all your devices. So delete photo. So it's gone from here. But if I go into Drive, it is still there. I actually have 2 copies of it. So definitely a good option for you if you have taken a lot of photos. You can come into Google Drive, create several different folders, upload your photos, and then delete them from your iPad. And just to show you quick, another way of uploading photos, I showed before how to do it within Drive, but you can also do it by starting in Photos. And let's say I'll select a couple things here. I'll select these 3 things. And if I want to add them to Google Drive, I'll find the blue Share button. And one of my options, as long as you have Google Drive installed, you'll have that icon here. Again, it might take a few seconds or a minute. So it shows the 3 things I have selected. It's 1 photo and 2 videos. It shows, okay, this is the Google account I'm using. And then you can tap Select Folder. I don't have any shared drives, so I'll put it in My Drive. And there are my 4 folders. So I could either tap Save Here, meaning they won't be added to a specific folder, or tap the correct folder, let's say Travel. So those are the 3 documents that are already there. And now I'll tap Save here. And Upload. So again, those blue lines are just showing the progress of those things uploading. And this is pretty typical that movies take longer, especially if they're long. But as those finish, we can go into Drive and just check. They should show up in priority. Maybe not yet. I think I added them to travel. Okay, so it seems to still be working on it. I hope this video has been helpful. Definitely give it a try. Install Google Drive and try adding some of your photos or other files. For something more advanced, you could try installing Google Docs and check out that app for writing text documents. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.